Hi everyone, it's Sandy and today I'm doing my March wrap-up. This month I've read 6 books and I will be sharing my thoughts with you. The first book that I read is actually a school book, so I'm not going to be talking too much about it, but it is Native Son by Richard Wright, and surprisingly I really enjoyed this book. Usually when it comes to school books, I tend to really not like them or enjoy them at all, and I ended up giving this book a 3 out of 5 stars. The next book that I read is Insurgent by Veronica Roth. This is the second book in the Divergent trilogy, and I mainly picked this book up because the movie was coming out this month. It has been nearly 3 years since I first read this book, and I was really excited to get into this world again because I do love Divergent. It is one of my favorite trilogies. My initial rating of this book was a 5 out of 5, and even after reading it I would still give it a 5 out of 5. I did find myself annoyed at Tris at several times throughout the book, but I really love the story and the action in it, so I still really love this book. The movie, on the other hand, was pretty disappointing. I did enjoy the movie, but there was a lot of things that I didn't like about the movie, especially with Uriah, Lynn, and Marlene. I was so looking forward to seeing them in the movie, and what I saw was a major letdown. They basically weren't necessary in the movie at all. Marlene especially had no lines whatsoever. Yes, Uriah did have lines, but I didn't feel that attachment to Uriah as I did in the books. And I also didn't feel his friendship with Tris was as strong as it was in the book. And I really loved Lynn's character as well in the book. I loved how fierce and sassy she was. But in the movie, it just didn't come off that way. The next book that I read is Confess by Colleen Hoover. Before I talk about my thoughts about this book, I do have a book review on this book, and it is non-spoiler, so if you haven't read this book, you should check it out. Colleen Hoover is one of my favorite authors, and I highly recommend all of her books. This book is about a girl named Auburn who moves to a new state, and she comes across this kind of art studio where the building is covered up with confessions, and the really cool thing about these confessions is that they were submitted anonymously by real-life readers. And in this building there is a guy named Owen who uses these confessions as inspiration for his artwork. Colleen Hoover always has something really unique about her books, and in this book in particular there are artwork. Since Owen is an artist, you get to see his actual artwork, which I think was very, very cool. I really love the characters in this book, and I really like the romance in it. Although it did feel a bit like insta-love, I didn't mind it as much. It is Colleen Hoover and she knows how to deal with that. And I love seeing Owen and Auburn's relationship slowly develop throughout the story, and I highly recommend it. I would give this a 4 out of 5 stars. It's not my favorite Colleen Hoover book, but I would recommend any of her books. I really enjoyed every single one of them. All of her books I give either a 4 or a 5 stars. The next book that I finished is Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. This book has received a lot of hype, and I read it and I loved it. I even filmed a book review on it. So if you want to check out my non-spoiler book review, I will leave the link in the description box below, and I will also leave an annotation. I really love the story. I normally always love stories that characters have supernatural powers. To be honest, I was a little bit nervous going into this book because it has received a lot of hype, and I didn't want to dislike it when a lot of people seem to really love it. I have seen some mixed reviews of this, but honestly, I really love this book, and I give this book a 5 out of 5 stars. The next book that I finished is Into the Still Blue by Veronica Rossi. I have finally finished the Under the Never Sky trilogy, and I really enjoyed it. It's not a favorite trilogy of mine, but it is one that I have really enjoyed. Since this is the third and final book in the trilogy, I can't really say much about it, but I still really liked it. It's not my favorite in the trilogy. My favorite would probably have to be the second book, which is Through the Evernight, but I did really like this, and I'm really satisfied with how it ended. I give this book a 4 out of 5 stars. On a side note, I've noticed that this paperback version of Into the Still Blue doesn't really match the paperback version of the other 2 books. So for example, this is the second book, and as you can see, the letters are sort of raised and sparkly, and it has a nice touch to it. And this book, it's all flat. Is it just me? Because it's all flat, and I think it's so weird how they decided to change that. I don't know if it's just my copy. I'm pretty sure it's not just my copy, but I really want to know because I don't like this cover. I just don't like the way it feels. I don't like how it's not raised and not sparkly. It kind of bothers me, to be honest. Does anyone have this problem where minor changes to a cover bothers you? I know some people have problems when their books, the height of their books are different. It kind of bothers me too. And here's a comparison of all 3 books. Look at that. They don't really, what? I don't know. I'm just weird. I don't know. Am I just being weird? Please tell me I'm not the only one who feels bothered by this. And the last book that I read is Crash Into You by Katie McGarry. This is the third book in the Pushing the Limits companion series, and I loved it. I don't want to say much about this book aside from the fact that it's about Isaiah and Rachel. Isaiah is a character from the previous books and Rachel is a new character. I don't want to say much because I feel like with contemporary books you should kind of go into it not knowing, especially with this. And if you've read a Katie McGarry books, there's a lot of drama, family stuff, but her characters are wonderful. The story is wonderful. Out of all of the books that I read from her, so far, Rachel is definitely my favorite because I found myself relating to her a lot. I give this book a 5 out of 5 stars, and I definitely recommend the Pushing the Limits series. It's a wonderful contemporary story. If you like the Anna and the French Kiss companion series, I'm pretty sure you will like the Pushing the Limits companion series as well. So that is it for my March wrap up. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know if you've read any of these books in the comments below so we can talk about it. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!